You're watching the drive for the Cure 250 from the Charlotte Roval, and that's Josh Bilicki. We talked about the flight canceled from Chicago last night, drove all the way through the night to get here, and missed the back chicane by just a little bit, and that's the damage that it's done to the front of that car.
Well, he's talking on the radio like perhaps he has no brakes. You see the speed that he's coming in there, so he turns left to avoid the cars in front of him, and my goodness. Jeff, you and I are awful at evaluating because we were out there earlier and said, we didn't think those curves would do quite that much damage.
I mean, it's like the splitter went underneath the curb, and when it did, it just ripped the curb off the racetrack and then ripped the front end off the race car.
Yeah, I'm having Indy road course flashbacks watching that happen.
Yeah, to your point, the curb itself went with him.
Yes.
He picked up the entire curb.
So the tracks, what do they do? Do they fix that or just?
It was bolted down prior to that car coming through.
Oh, this would be a great shot.
Yeah, so see how low the car is, and right there, it just digs underneath the splitter and just digs underneath the curb and just destroys the car.
So I think he was out of brakes. I mean, he passed two cars getting in there. Josh Bilicki's an experienced driver, so I want to believe he had a mechanical issue that forced him to abort left. Let's listen in.
Did we hit somebody? Is that what happened to the splitter, or did we jump over the curb?
Yeah, instead of collecting the two cars ahead of me, I jumped the curb.
Yeah, so he made a decision.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to get slowed down. He didn't want to run through the cars in front of him, and I mean, obviously he had no idea that was going to happen. Steve, you said it. We were out there, you know, in the pace car earlier, and we looked at those curbs, and we were like, they're not that bad. They'll be okay, not like Indy.
Brakes just went to the floor, and that was that.
Oh, there you go. Brakes went to the floor. That was it. So, Jeff, I'm laughing because you literally said that. You drove, you looked left, and you said, well, that's nothing like Indy. And I was like, yeah, you're right, Jeff. That'd be no problem. You see the bolts that are left, Rick.
And I talked about it earlier. The drivers pump the brakes as they drive around this track up to the braking zones. And you continue to pump those brakes because that temperature builds in the fluid and the brake pedal gets longer and longer. And eventually, at some point, you go in some of these cars without great cooling or a brake fade or a brake issue, you go into that braking zone and start pumping it, and the brake never comes up. The brake pedal never gets stronger, and you continue to pump that pedal, and it goes right to the floor, and then you're into the corner. That's what happened to the 7 car.
And you see what they've got to do. They've got to cut these bolts out, because if a car ran over that, it would just flatten the tires. I got to tell you guys, I don't even know why those curves are there. I mean, honestly, there's a rule. If you go, you know, if you're on the wrong side of the curves, there's a penalty. I'm not even sure why we put these penalty curbs in there just to destroy the racetrack and also disrupt the race. I think it's something we need to look at. I don't know the advantage of having those curbs there.
And Steve, I think we both saw right away the DeWalt tools came out here. That's what they see in the billboard or the wall when they go into turn number 1. But what a ride for Josh Bilicki as he goes right through